It has been a, excuse me, very productive off-season for us. Bill Moose has just been wonderful in upgrading our locker room facilities in both areas that we practice and play in. We have a new floor that'll be here about mid-October, which is going to benefit us immensely as well. Connor Clifford and that group have gotten in, and I thought we had a very productive summer with a team GPA of 3.2, and that's very difficult to do at a BCS school, but these guys really paid the price in that area as well. I had an opportunity to send Valentine over to China and play this summer, and I thought that was really nice for him to get the opportunity to do that. Ike Arabu, Josh Hawkinson, Junior Longers all went with Athletes in Action to a leadership camp this summer as well, too. So when you look at where we're at and what we've been able to accomplish, I would say it's been a very, very productive all season. And even with our 2016 class already know where we're going in that direction. We're on 2017s right now. So everything is positive. Everything is moving in a good direction. And the last, before I open up the questions for all of you, even with our schedule, with every non-conference game with the exception of Idaho being in Beasley, that was important for us to balance out our schedule. And then we open up, obviously, with conference play with 3 straight games in a row at home. So we have an opportunity to move the needle right now with the program. We're looking forward to getting going.
You went to last season with priorities of getting the team's GPA and the graduating players' GPAs in order and instilling some confidence in the team. What was your focus this offseason?
Well, the biggest thing was to incorporate those new guys and get them acclimated to academics at this level, and they did a really nice job transitioning in. The second order of business was to get them in shape, and all of them. Connor Clifford has dropped 20 pounds since he's been here. Robert Franks has dropped another 10 pounds. Coach Tom has done a wonderful job. This team is really ready to practice, and not only will they be a team that is conditioned to work hard for us, they're going to really play hard for WSU, and that's a good thing.
Pretty quickly, half the team is guys you recruited. How does that allow you to change the style of play?
I think what it's done in the past with a lot of our really good teams, we've always had excellent guard play, and this team has upgraded in that area. We're going to miss some of those players we had last year, but I have a really good group of guards that are making practices extremely competitive. And in doing so, I think it's going to allow them to get really good really quickly and do the things we need for them to do. It is the best crop of big guys that I've ever coached. And what I mean by that is the Marty Lunins, the A.D. Smiths I had of Oregon, that's Josh Hawkinson, who had 20 double-doubles last year, and those guys didn't put up those kind of stats and everything. But to have a player the caliber of Valentine and Connor over at that 5 spot that are productive in their own way. Valentine, athletic, running the floor, dunk, finishes, block shots. He's going to cause a lot of problems. Connor is a big guy that's mobile, that can score with his right hand, left hand, wants the ball, wants to score. He's going to cause a lot of problems. I've never had that before with guys with that kind of size, so it's going to be kind of nice to blend that in with the speed of the game in our guard play.
Will you be able to take Ike back off the ball?
My plans are not to have him on the ball that much because I think the competition between Nye Redding and Charles Collison right now is just outstanding. And it'll allow us to move Ike off the ball quite a bit. But at times you'll see 3 guards on the floor. You'll see 3 of our smaller guards. You'll see 3 of our bigger guards on the floor. We can even have a big lineup with the 6'8" guy sitting at the 3 spot over there. So we just have the flexibility and depth because we feel like we're 1, 2, and even 3 deep at every position right now with guys being able to move around because of their skill set.
With this group of big men, do you expect the rebounding burden on Josh to ease up a little bit?
I would hope so, and I would think not only the rebounding burden, but I think the scoring burden. I think the nice thing right now that we've noticed with the little bit of time we've had to work with these guys is that you don't notice Josh as much, and that's because you got other people around him that are getting things done, particularly inside. So, but in time, obviously, he'll be one of those go-to guys on the floor. But I think it's going to really blossom his game even more so with what he has to work with now in terms of our size on the floor and our productivity on the floor.
Last year when you came in here, you made it a huge emphasis to get the students and the locals back involved in the program and get into games and stuff. Are you where you're at, where you want to be at with that, or is there still work to be done there? And have you decided to emphasize on anything else coming into this year, program-wise?
Well, only time will tell once we get into the season. I think the thing that we've done last year tried to get some consistency to let people kind of see where we were headed. Obviously, this year, getting out in the community, particularly on College Hill up there, and getting more involved with the students to bring them back to Beasley. We've done a good job at that. But ultimately, when the fans see this basketball team, that's the selling point. How hard they play, how smart they play, do they play together, do they have confidence, courage, and ultimately can they win games, and all of that will take care of itself. So I would say we're well on our way, and as I've told every student that I've had a chance to speak to, if we can get those students back into that arena, we become a very, very difficult team to deal with up here if we can get them back into that building. So I'm hoping with our style of play, with our size, with our camaraderie of this team and everything they bring to this campus, we'll be able to get those students back in there.
So this new court, this new floor that's coming in mid-October, is it going to have some big elaborate design on it?
That's up to Bill Moose, and I'm sure it will. Yes, maybe even very similar to what we just had. I think they won't have so much that you see more of the squares, the parquet-looking type deal right now won't be there anymore. But it's a soft floor for as much as it could be, being a portable floor and everything else. But it was long overdue. We had some problems with the old floor with practice. It kind of coming apart on us, so we needed to get this done, and it's going to be really nice not to have to worry about a floor in terms of a safety issue with this new floor coming in.
Coach, what's the biggest challenge in replacing a guy like Devontae?
I think the biggest challenge is finding out who your new alpha dog is going to be with your basketball team. Is it Ike? Is it Josh? Is it Connor? Who's going to be that guy that you know you can go to get some things done? And I certainly have two candidates in Ike and Josh, because I felt like they really came on down the stretch last year, particularly in the last few ball games. They really took control of this basketball team, not letting them seniors lose on their way out the door. So I think in time that'll take care of itself, but certainly feel like that's a big issue for us to find out who that go-to guy is, particularly when you're on the road in those tough environments, who can get those tough baskets for you.
It sounds like you're pretty excited about Connor. What are your expectations for his impact?
Well, I'm just excited about him being here because I think he has great potential. The expectations for this team, as well as it is for Connor, is just for them to play at a different level. I like how we look. I like the physicality, the speed, the size. People will notice that we're a much bigger basketball team and stronger basketball team. But with that being said, this team now has to learn how to win. And to do that, that's going to take some time for them to get out on the road and even in their home court and do some things where they can get their confidence and get moving. So the confidence I have in Connor, as I do with all of our new guys, is number one, the fact that they believed in us to come to school here. Number two, to see how hard they worked this offseason to get themselves in shape and get ready. And number three, just the job they've done academically. That's hard to do, those three things. And they've been very, very consistent with their effort and everything for us.
Do you feel you have the personnel to absorb the three-point shooting loss of Devontae and Dexter?
Yes, no question about it. We have the personnel to do that, and I think we'll be a better shooting basketball team. We should be a better scoring basketball team, again, with having a more flexibility to play inside out a little bit more and get more things done. And then I think the biggest thing for us last year that was a concern for us was defense. I thought we were just flat out horrible last year defensively, and I can already tell that this is going to be a much better defensive team because of athleticism. Toughness is different, our depth is different, the competition is different. You're going to have to guard in practice, and to get on that floor, you're going to have to defend. And we have the ability to put that kind of pressure on guys in the right way to get that out of them.
What do you see as the next progression for Josh? You kind of hit on with, the depth helps him, but he had a great year last year. What's the progression for him you expect coming this year?
Well, for me, it's the consistency to knock down his three-point shot. And saying that without putting any pressure on him, because he can score in so many ways. But when he gets that on a consistent basis and can really stretch the floor, he just takes his game to a whole nother level. And that's the thing we've spent a lot of time with him on, just shooting the ball, a lot of repetition in. He's gotten stronger, he's gotten faster. All of those things he's taken care of. The last piece is the consistency of knocking that shot down. I certainly feel like he's going to be able to do that.
Have you ever brought in this many JUCO transfers at one time, and how does that work with chemistry and getting them all acclimated and having this team sort of gel together?
I've never had this great a number. And even Valentine didn't play last year, so he has to learn how to play within the scope of things too. But the thing that the guys will tell you and they've said it to us several times, is that from day one, they felt like they have known their teammates and they hang out together quite a bit. They spend a lot of time together on their own, and that tells me not only did we recruit talent, but we recruited character. And when you come into a locker room and there's somebody next to you that has your beliefs, that is, same kind of personality in a sense in terms of how they handle themselves, that's a good thing. And that will allow us to come together a lot quicker, allow us to get to where we need to get to a lot quicker. So that was one of the things that we've always looked at in recruiting. With a year underneath our belt, a year to go out and recruit, we feel like we've upgraded our recruiting considerably.
Are the fans going to see something different than what they saw last year in terms of just speed or how you're going to play the game now that you sort of are getting that, getting your personnel that you want, recruiting your guys?
It takes a year to put in the running game. It takes a year to put in your defensive schemes too. When we talk about the matchup zone and some of those things, I can tell you again from when Clay Thompson was here and looked at this team and gave feedback to anybody that has seen this team when they've come in during the summer and watched them. There's two things they consistently say: you guys are really big and you're really fast. Because after a year, the veteran guys, they know how to run now, and they know how to get up and down. Whereas the guys coming in the door, you've got a much bigger, stronger athlete coming in the door that knows how to run. Now, you might look at Connor. He's not as fleet as foot as everybody else, but that's okay. His points, his touches will come when there is a timeout, a dead ball, and when you walk it up and down the floor, I know where that ball needs to go. But at the same time, you look at a guy like Valentine, he's one of our best runners on the team, and a tremendous athlete too. So the fans will see a stronger basketball team, a bigger basketball team, a faster basketball team, and I can guarantee you a better defensive basketball team.
What's it like having a guy like Clay come and see your team, having such a star in the NBA, be able to talk to you guys and talk to you? I don't know, what was that like, I guess, the whole experience?
Well, with him and Bain both, first of all, you have two guys that you can really talk about in the homes about have won NBA championships. I don't know how many schools can say that in this conference. And secondly, for him to take the time to come back here. And his time here was not all 100% roses here. He went through some adversity here. But for him to still come back, bring that trophy with him, spend the 2 or 3 days here, I saw him in a function, stay around for an hour and a half, and took pictures with signed autographs until everybody was done. You just don't get that out of NBA superstars. And yet he was willing to do that and come back here and do it at his school. It tells you two things. It tells you, number one, about his character, but also tells you about his experience here and how much he loved this place, how much he misses it. The thing he told me when he stepped foot into that Beasley and he walked over, he says, "Boy, I really miss this place. This is a wonderful campus." That told me a lot about Clay right there.
What do you make of a Pac-12 that has so many teams that will be relying on freshmen, and what kind of opportunity does that present?
I make that, number one, there was a lot of talent, again, that left out of the conference that's going to be playing in the NBA as it is every year. Number two, it seems like everybody reloaded with players. And the old philosophy, I've been around this conference for a long time, there's two things you have to do. You have to coach and be able to coach, and you better be able to recruit because teams are going to get players. Well, we've gotten players also. So what I see is the top of the conference has kind of come down. There's not that team that could just flat out run away with everything. And then the bottom of the conference has come up. So there's going to be a lot of teams in the middle that can go up or go down. And that'll depend upon chemistry, injury, your scheduling, who can get on a roll, confidence, all of those excuse me, other factors that we call kind of the game within the game that hopefully you can dominate most of those things or handle most of those things as a program and be right there with everybody else.
You talked about having a go-to guy on the floor. Is there a guy right now that stands out in your mind off the court that's a leader for this team?
Junior Longers, just head and shoulders. I'm just so proud of him. And I'm hoping so much for him and Brett also to have success this year. But Junior has just been outstanding. I've seen him put his arm around the new guys. I've seen Brett put his arm around them. I think the two of those guys, their conversation with us has been, this team is different. These guys listen, and they listen to our advice and what we have to say, even though they're really, really good players. And a lot of these guys will play before those guys, but yet they're coaching, they're teaching, they're leading their team to be successful. So they have an opportunity to have a great senior year, and they deserve it as well too. So, but Junior has been just phenomenal with this team, which is why the conference selected him as the student representative that is going to the NCAA. He will not be in practice this weekend because I let him go because it's more important for him to be sitting in Indianapolis at the table with the NCAA as the student representative from the Pac-12 conference, the only one. That's huge, and that tells you a lot about his leadership.
Coach, you touched on it a bit early on. How can the home games early on help you guys progress and be ready to go in Pac-12 play?
I think anytime you have a new group of players, just to be able to get some sort of rhythm and be able to start off, and if you can handle your schedule to where you can have some success early, it only builds with a new basketball team. We know we have talent, size, depth. What we don't have is the ability now to see how we're going to handle ourselves in games until the games get here. So we're all very excited about getting started. Now, a couple of things we're going to do on homecoming weekend, October 17th, we're putting a portable floor in the field house. And an hour and a half before kickoff, there's going to be 3,000 or 4,000 people in there. We're bringing that team in there in uniform, put on an exhibition for 30 minutes, run through offense, dunk the ball for two reasons. Number one, I'm excited for the fans to see how good-looking this team looks because we're big, we're strong, and it's a nice-looking group of guys. Number two, it'll give them an opportunity to get some of the jitters out and perform in front of new fans. I mean, those guys have conquered their old environments. They need to conquer this environment. And then the second piece of that is on November 7th when we bring back Coach Ravlin. And we're going to have that throwback exhibition game in Boulder. Again, it's an opportunity. Instead of going away like we did last year and we played at Nevada in a closed environment, we decided the two exhibition games to get these new guys in front of the fans in Beasley, in Boulder, in front of their fans, get them rolling, get confidence. All about confidence right now because we have the size, the depth, the talent. It's about the confidence, the chemistry, and getting on the rhythm right now. So we're trying to put some things in place that'll move it quicker, but ultimately it will be when the games get here. And as you remember last year, the schedule kind of gobbled us up a little bit, opening up at UTEP, staying on the road, going to TCU. That's tough to do. We came home for a game, then off to Alaska. Well, I think it's 8 straight games in a row at home. Then we go to Idaho. Then we're on a plane to Hawaii, and we open up with Oklahoma, and then coming back again after Christmas. And those 3 games here are going to be huge right here again in Pullman. So I'm excited about the schedule because it gives the local community as well as the students a chance now to see this team and grow with and help grow this team with their support in there as well too, because we're all in this together.
Coach, we haven't talked to you in this setting since Dr. Floyd passed. What can you speak to his involvement and his support of the basketball program since you've been here?
He was, in my opinion, one of the most distinguished men that I've ever met in my life, and he is going to be sorely missed by everyone. And any success this basketball program has, any success, in my opinion, that the athletic department has is a direct relation to what he has done in his leadership because he got it. He saw the vision. He knew what the vision was. His support meant so much to us. He gave you an opportunity that made you want to go out and be successful for him and Carmenta because they were so supportive. I mean, to be able to bring recruits in town and go to the president's house and sit down at the president's house to talk to your recruits, that's just not happening across the country at other campuses. But it shows you, again, what a big part of the Coug Nation, Coug family that he was. So my heart just sinks because I know I wanted to, I know Mike wanted to, we wanted to have so much success for him to experience it as well too. So we're going to push on, but yet he will always, I mean, you'll see me at this podium a lot during the course of this year, going right back to what he did for us, what he did for the program, and his vision for all of us, and the fact that he allowed Bill Moose to bring me here.
Let's take a couple calls on the line.
Any questions on the line for Coach Kent?
Hey, Coach, similar with Field Times here. You talked a little bit at the beginning about how some of your players went over to China next season. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, what do you think they took from the experience, and why is that important?
Valentine Mazundo went to Beijing with Athletes in Action this summer. And for a guy that had transferred in from Houston and had sat out a year and a half or so, it was very important for him to get back playing competitive basketball and to do it in an environment where the games were not counting games. It was good because he came back a different player, now being able to get out in front of fans get in front of officiating, competition, and play. He's transitioned nicely coming into the season. Otherwise, it may have taken him 3 or 4 games to get his feet wet again. He's gotten that out of the way right now, and that was huge. The other 3 guys went to a leadership camp in Colorado. Josh Hawkinson, Ike Arabu, and Junior Longers, and they are the veteran players. They are the leaders of this basketball team, and I think they learned some valuable tools going away that they've already implemented that's allowed us to be a closer-knit group. And this group has the makings, again, in my opinion, to be special, because some of the things that I've seen in the weight room, the camaraderie, the cheering for each other. I don't know another basketball team that coming out of a summer with 6 new guys could stand up in the weight room in front of their fellow student athletes in there and sing the school fight song and do it on their own. That's impressive. And to go to volleyball games and want to have a presence there at the soccer games and they go together, that's impressive. So they're going to change things in a big way if the success comes that I'm hoping they will have, because I just think they're going to light a fire under so many different areas here because of their camaraderie when people have an opportunity to see them play.
And this leadership camp, was that something that you signed them up for? How did that come to be?
No, it's something they did on their own, and they had an opportunity to do it. We have to obviously go through compliance, make sure everything was well and everything's handled the right way. But Athletes in Action does this every year. I think a couple of our players in the past have gone on them as well, too. And I certainly highly recommended it, that they do it, when they came to me and asked if they could.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the line for Coach Kent? Maybe a couple more in the room.
You went and spoke at, I believe, Coach Raveling's event this past week. What was that like, and what were you doing down there?
Well, I started the weekend, and again, when we talk about a productive offseason, we've tried to be as visible as we possibly could be. You know, it was important for me to deliver 400 pizzas to all the fraternities and majority of the sororities. We need to do something for them. And the 1,000 roses on bid day in the morning, we needed to give something back. And this is no different. When Coach Raveling called, I had an event for American Cancer Society up in Spokane that I had to do. So George was nice enough to move my speaking time to Saturday morning. So I rush in and we do the event in Spokane. You jump on a plane, you get to LA at 12:30 at night, you get to bed at 2, you get up at 10, and you're in a clinic. And at that clinic is Dana Altman, Quanzo Martin was there, John Calipari, Kevin Eastman, Cynthia Cooper, Mike Dunlap, one of my former assistants. It was a wonderful clinic because you had some talented people. Jay Wright from Villanova spoke, Buzz Williams from Virginia Tech. So that group of coaches who are all in our coaching fraternity and the messages they were able to give, I thought it was an outstanding clinic for the coaches that were in attendance there, because they not only got offense and defense, but coaching philosophy, but they had a lot on how to handle today's student athlete, which I thought was important, which is a big part of my topic that I talked about.
Was the audience high school coaches or small college coaches?
They were majority were high school coaches, but some small college coaches and even some Division I coaches were in attendance as well.
I don't know if this has been touched yet already, but maybe
Where you been? You was late. Laps.
Maybe who out of the 6 faces maybe has surprised you so far, and what you've seen out of them over the summer?
We'll say 6, but I'm going to keep throwing Valentine in there as a 7th, because, again, he's got to come. I think, well, a lot of surprises. Charles Collison, with his strength and his ability to guard the ball and to be able to come in and have a presence on the floor as to how to run an offense, has been impressive to me. Renard Suggs and Darian King, their ability to score. Darian more has a really good feel for the game. Renard has a deep, long-range shooter and can really, really get to the hole, which has surprised me. You see him do it in junior college and you see him do it in person. He's almost unstoppable to get to the basket, yet he can shoot it as well, too. Valentine probably has grown the most because he came here very raw offensively, and all of a sudden he's making post moves. He's spinning on people. He's always been a big-time dunker where you can throw the ball because he's such an athlete, and he's a tremendous, tremendous shot blocker, which people are just going to be amazed. To give you an example, when we did our individual I would call our individual weight training in the weight room and our testing, we didn't have a marker high enough to test his vertical. So we had to put weights underneath the vertical jump. Now think about this. He went over 12 feet on a standing jump. So the white mark above the rim, that's 11 feet. So think about his vertical jump. Think how high up his body. He's going to change the game for us defensively, allow us to do some more things, pressuring the ball. Connor Clifford has been a surprise, but yet we knew what he could do. The surprising thing is how hard he works. And he came in here at 293. And when I left last week, we're talking a little over a month, he was down to 274. For a guy that big to work that hard, that tells you something about who he is, though, and everything else. The two biggest surprises, though, however, has been Robert Franks, who we knew he could score, but I'm just shocked at his ability to shoot the ball beyond NBA range for a guy with that kind of size, and he's had to take some weight off too. So he's surprised me with his offensive ability to score and shoot it. And the biggest surprise has been Deontay Daniels, because the consistency of what he's done from the day when he's gotten in the door to now, he's been really point on everything we wanted him to do. And he can shoot it, he can run, he just does everything right, he defends. He's been a pleasant surprise to step up into this environment and play that well so far. And you're just hoping that once we get going, he can stay at that level.
So last one with Trevor.
Last year you compared yourself to a bear coming out of hibernation. How do you describe the energy coming into year 2?
Round 2, ding, ding, let's go. So we're in a prize fight, we're in round 2. Okay, so we're ready to go for round 2. So it's more or less we just kind of went back to our corners. Okay, let's go back at it again. So I think, again, the time off is I can't tell you what it has done, because even at my assistants, and Coach Tom has done a great job with this. I mean, we work out 6 days a week, and we put the time in. Coach Graham, when you see him, you're going to be amazed. He's lost 30 pounds. You know, everybody has gotten themselves into shape. And what we wanted to show our players was it's not just them. We're all in this together. And we know what we're doing. We know where we're headed to and everything else. So right now, everything is moving in a very positive direction. We just need to stay healthy, get the season going, get into the exhibition season, ignite this student body, get people into Beasley, and let's get rolling. But you really certainly feel like as you do reload or come into round 2, you're coming back with being able to throw a few more punches, because we got a few more bodies and size and athleticism and all those things.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.